In real life, things can happen, but we don't let it stop us. Welcome to the huddle. We're gonna run the play again, y'all. I have grown into a better me. I have grown into a better me. I'm better than who I used to be. At once upon a time, when things went wrong, I may have panicked. But for the first time in 106 episodes, as I begin my episode, my internet dropped. But guess what? I just reconnected it, because we ain't gonna stop. Welcome to the huddle. We all we got. We all we need. Each one teach one. Each one reach one. If you are that one, then you already know you are enough. You enough. When everything going wrong, you enough to get it all right. I want to give a shout out to my executive producer, who's also my wardrobe coordinator, who's also my balance, who also hold me down to the ground so that I could stand upright. I say, baby, what I'm wearing tonight? She said, I want you to wear that gray on that gray. I say, baby, why that gray on that gray? She said, because tonight is going to be a powerful message, and I want you to be neutral in the truth. So this one's for you, baby. I want to give a shout out to my homegirl, the greatest co-host in the whole world. I'm talking about she hold me down. See, you understand that the ground is the feminine energy, the polarity. It takes two to make a thing go right. That's positive and negative. She the ground that hold me down. Alexa, I appreciate you.
Wahoo! My day just went from great to absolutely perfect.
Boy, and they say when you know how to make a woman feel like she wanna feel, all she gonna do everything you need her to. And I just made her day go from great to perfect. So that lets you know what type of show we finna have. Alexa, who is the master?
The Honorable Trab P.
Ain't no misunderstanding. Alexa, what is the most powerful music in the world?
Hood Soul by Trab P.
Ain't no misunderstanding. Alexa, tell me something good.
We all we got.
She already know. Alexa, one time.
Good God Almighty, Trab P, you blanking.
Alexa, I love you. That's how we do our
Thanks
thing.
for saying I love you. You're just as
Sweet as pie. She talking about me.
Know that I'll be here for you.
Yeah, as always, your trusted AI. Boom! That's how it go down, man. We start every show off with a hero hymn. The hero hymn is the mighty hymn within me. The mighty hero spirit. We know that spirit means to breathe. We know that spirit is the wind. We know the air, the spirit, the wind goes through our respiratory system. As I inhale the wind and I exhale the wind, it travels past my vocal cords and causes a vibration that we know as sound. When you feel me just as much as you hear me, that is when we connect in the hero spirit. Tonight's hero hymn says, can somebody tell me, please tell me, Can somebody tell me where my real people go? 'Cause I don't know. Can somebody tell me where my real people go? What is real? Real is the truth. What is the truth? Truth is something that don't change. Truth is objective necessity. Objective necessity means it's something that you need, that is necessary, that will never change. Where are my real brothers? Where are my real sisters? The ones that objectively don't change depending on what and who needs them. You objectively need water. Objectively means fuck your feelings. Truth is and always will be. Regardless of how you feel, you need water. Regardless of how you feel, you need the wind. Regardless of how you feel, you need the fire, you need the sun. Regardless of how you feel, you need the earth. You need nourishment. You need food. When you understand the necessities of what don't change, regardless of how I feel, my wife and my children need me. When you stand on that and understand that, you become real. And until then, I ask the question, can somebody tell me, please tell me, can somebody tell me where my real people go? 'Cause I don't know. If you know, can you please tell my real people to come back? Ain't nothing realer on planet Earth than a parent. Nothing is realer on planet Earth than being a parent. We all are children that has gotten old. Nothing is realer than being a parent. Tonight's word is going to be powerful, y'all. I'm going to jump up out of that. If you feel it, then you already locked in. Tonight's word is going to be powerful. Black History Edition. Tonight's word is prejudice. Prejudice. This is the month where our children begin to learn history of how their parents and grandparents was treated at a particular time. They will now begin to understand the words of racism and prejudice. They will begin to be taught the disparities between racial divide. What is prejudice? Are you prejudiced? Have you ever dealt with someone who's prejudiced? Alexa, what is the meaning of prejudice?
Prejudice refers to an unfavorable opinion or feeling formed without knowledge or reason. It can also mean harm caused by judgments or actions based on biases. In law, prejudice means an unjustified attitude directed toward an individual based on something they cannot control.
An unfavorable opinion of someone without no information prior to. I prejudge you. I'm prejudiced. We all know this word through the history of blackness in America because we were subjugated to white people being prejudiced to us. They prejudged us. They stereotyped us. They assumed that we were one way because we were one way. Not a long time ago. Not a long time ago. No matter what your status was, whether it be education, economics, or any affiliation, we understood we all we got, we all we need. We had to be together because those were the rules. And outside of those togetherness became a wall of prejudice. We were all prejudged. We were all judged through an opinion formed amongst us with no actuality of who we are and what we are. We were all judged and dealt with through the lenses of prejudice. I was having a conversation with some older gentlemen, my daddy included. And I told them, I said, well, man, y'all got to realize one thing. When we talk about black history and we talk about Jim Crow, I say, man, we ain't talking about a long time ago. My dad is 68, born in 1955. Can tell me all the stories when integration began. Can tell me all the stories of his exposure to the other races. Can tell me all the stories when he was a little boy, his name got changed when the inception of white folk. I did a video about this. Only 60 years ago, my family's lineage was under foot. But with the inception and integration with white people, they changed my family name to Forte, changed the spelling, and changed the trajectory of us truly understanding where we come from. This ain't a long time ago. So I was telling my daddy, I say, Daddy, look, Daddy, and the other older men around. I say, man, you know, I'm really the first generation that if we're going to consider free, then it's my generation. They say, why you say that? I say, well, Daddy, you was in integration and segregation. By the time you graduated, you hadn't really understood the intertwining of white people being together in a social setting. I say, so all your interactions all through life at work were with Jim Crow children who never understood the unity beyond the separation of race. I say, it was only to your children, which is me, that I got bused to South Meck from Freedom Drive to truly intertwine with white cultures and other cultures. I am the generation. He said, I ain't never thought about it like that. I said, yeah. So when we talk about prejudice, see, before integration, while we was in segregation, they only dealt with us through a prejudiced mindset because they didn't have no actuality. We wasn't together, so everything that they assumed we were was a blind opinion. And don't make this wrong or right. Understand it. So we had to come prejudiced too on our side. We had to prejudge them based off an opinion from what we have gathered and seen. They prejudiced to us with an opinion to say we are less than. We prejudice to them with an opinion to say they are evil and they think that we are less than. So our prejudice kind of protected us from each other and created a barrier. My daddy told me about this growing up, my whole life through his experience. I'm in school. I'm academically gifted. I'm in the class where I'm maybe one or two or three only blacks in a classroom of 25. Truly feeling like I belong. My parents can't understand what I'm experiencing because they never have. They only see what reality through the lens of prejudice. You see how this works? So as I'm intertwined now, my prejudice that I'm dealing with, I'm born in 1979. The prejudice that I deal with in the 80s, I'm being prejudged now as a teenager, not from a racial perspective, but from a criminal perspective. When I was in high school, I dealt with a different type of prejudice. At 16, I had a gold tooth and a big chain in an old school Chevrolet on candy paint and chrome. I was prejudged as a drug dealer. I always had to be dealt with through the prejudice. Everybody formed an opinion of me before they got to know me. So we all understand what being prejudged is, based off an opinion. But this Black History Month, so we got to talk about it, on how prejudice has brought us through. Are you prejudiced? Before I get off of the racial part, I want you to understand something, man. And when we talk about racial, and we talk about racism, and we talk about prejudice, I want y'all to realize this hero training. And if you truly understand heroism, yeah, we objectively know that the game ain't fair. Yeah, we objectively know that the system is rigged in a systematic way to somewhat give other people an advantage. But we're still winning. We're still surviving. We're still thriving in spite of. So in no aspect of understanding this and our position in it do we use it as a crutch. It's just understanding how it works. That's all we're doing when we talk about racism and prejudice. So when I first experienced it in the way of my daddy grew up and always telling me about it, was when I began to work at the paper mill. And these are the very same men that worked with my daddy for 20 years, who all grew up and came up through Jim Crow, who all had a prejudiced opinion about black people that was innately put inside of them as a means of protection. So here I am, a young man in a grown old man's world, who grew up in integration, whose best friends in class were some good brothers that were white. And we didn't somewhat see the despairs that our parents saw. So here I am thrusted into the real world that my dad had been preparing me for. I remember we had one old man. He was like a mountain man. And when I say a mountain man, he came in with his lunchbox on his shoulder, and he had a scuffy beard, and he didn't never laugh with nobody. But he was a father. He was a well-established white man. And they told me, they said, that's John Dunn right there. They said, he in the KKK. He anti-government militia. Man, that man ain't no joke, man. Don't know about man. He a real racist. I asked my daddy, I say, Dad, man, they talk about this man, John Dunn. I believe I'm going to work with him. They say he a racist. My daddy said, he ain't shit. Pussy ass motherfucker. That's how my daddy talked to him. Excuse my language. But this ain't make believe. We talking real life. So lo and behold, they put me with John Dunn, the KKK member, the anti-government militia man, who's real prejudiced and racist. Well, once my daddy told me he ain't want no smoke, I say he's just a man, Daddy. I'm going to respect him as a man, an elder man. So he ain't never met a man like me, a young black man like me. And I ain't never dealt with one like him. And I understood that. I'm smart. I'm an athlete. I'm working with an old man. Let's go. So everybody's saying, yeah, John Dunn gonna break the young black man. He prejudiced. Well, I got to talking with John Dunn and hustling. This ain't nothing but a workout. And we got to talking about political things and aspect. And he know that I had a little understanding, and our work conversation began to go and flow. And I began to break down and bypass some of his prejudice, some of the things that he had prejudged me of. Because he's been working amongst these black men who all grew up through Jim Crow, and a lot of these people in our parents' generation have mental caps on their mind, where their parents have taught them to be humble as a means of protection. So anytime that they see somebody from my generation exude confidence and unapologetically greatness, they say, you need to humble yourself. I say, why? They say, because that there right thing will get you hurt, man. White people will break you for that. I say, this is a different time. So he ain't never met nobody like me, like I ain't never met nobody like him. But his sons respect me. So we get to dealing. Everybody said, man, how you get that man to talk to you like that? He ain't never talked to nobody like that. I don't know what they talking about. I don't know what they talking about. I told my daddy, man, he all right, Daddy. No, he ain't. He a white man. I said, well, Daddy, I ain't expecting nothing from the man other than the conversation. See, he done got past his prejudice just like I done got past my prejudice. Alexa, 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 what is the meaning of prejudice?
Prejudice refers to an unfavorable opinion or feeling formed without knowledge or reason. It can also mean harm caused by judgments or actions based on biases. In law, prejudice means an unjustified attitude directed toward an individual based on something they cannot control.
An unjustifiable opinion or feeling. See, he done got past his and I done got past mine. And this was the first time something happened in my life. It happened many times after this. And I didn't know whether this was a compliment or an insult. He said, man, I ain't never met a brother like you. What the hell that mean? There's many like me. There's many real men like me. What he meant by that? Alexa, what is the meaning of stereotype?
A stereotype is a widespread, yet often inaccurate or oversimplified perception about a particular group of people. These generalizations may be based on variables such as ethnicity, gender, age, or religion.
So we get prejudged based upon our stereotypes, and our stereotypes create the prejudice that the world sees us as. So one of the principles in heroism is to change the narrative. We constantly redefine the stereotypes. We become and understand that every day we rise, we are a representative of that which we are. I am the main character. So when we deal with Asians, when we deal with Hispanics, South Americans, when we deal with Africans, when we deal with Indians, when we deal with white folk, there's two sides of the prejudice. They have an unfavorable opinion of us. They're supported by stereotypes of a loser narrative that we must deal with on face value until we prove different. This has nothing to do with racism. And even when you talk about racism, understand, see, words have connotations. Connotations is the ideas and feelings that a word invoke. When we hear racism, we automatically think about white people and we automatically think about oppression. But a true word of racism is no different than tribalism. Their tribe and our tribe. We ain't the same. We understand that. We stand on what we stand on. We know who we are and we know who they are. And as long as there's no bloodlines between, there can be peace. But when you talk about racism, we always become victims of it. So through racism, we want unity. We want the white people to hug us and embrace us because racism is a bad thing. And racism is fueled by their prejudice. So if they would just only unite and let us be equal and love us, when we must look at it in the form of tribalism. No, don't hug me, don't love me, shake my hand and respect me. I am who I am, I am what I am. This is Black history. For 28 and this year 29, we become unapologetically of what we are. Going back to John Donne, I know I'm jumping, I'm going back, but I feel good. I let it flow, I let it go. He was a racist, and I respected it. And it made me respect every other racist that I've met after that. It ain't about good or bad or right or wrong. It's about knowing your position in it. I met white men who say, hey man, look at here, brother. I was innately put something inside of me to protect myself. I said, what you mean? He said, to protect my heritage, to protect who I am. And when I began to understand that, and I began to realize the heroism in me and know the power of influence in me, with them, these ones who are confessing that they are racism, and that's something that's innately put in them to protect themselves. I say protect themselves for what? And even though the prejudice that goes along with the racism is rooted in ignorance, the ignorance was a form of protection. We got a whole lot of ignorance that we use to protect us from shit. But we don't see it like that, but I hope you see it like this. See, he knows that if my family moved next door to his family, and he's proud, he's a proud tribal man of his heritage, the European culture, the European blood, the European features. He's a European man. We call them white. He ain't wrong for being proud of that. But what he fears and what he got to protect is looking at my 6 feet tall, 14 size, 13 handsome son walking in the yard cutting grass with sweat coming down, and his teenage daughter next door looking at that specimen of a man who's shining in the sun. He said, oh man, my great-grandfathers told me that I would have to form some way to protect our children from not being shot by the black gun, because when the black gun shoot, it not only kills, it creates life. And that's the end, my friend. So when I understood why they had to be racist and be prejudiced, I say, oh, poor little tink tink. Oh, wouldn't that be a fear? Oh, wouldn't that be a fear if I was a white man? I begin to empathize. But I say, no, I'm a black man. So I understand. Yeah, I get it. See how that work? Yeah, I get it. If y'all get a chance, go look up Obama, 1995. Where he wrote excerpts from his book, and he talked about it. And he talked about being raised by two white grandparents in Kentucky. And he talked about not until he left his grandparents and went to college and truly got to mingle around with some brothers who introduced him to the Nation of Islam, who introduced him to Malcolm X, who introduced him to a lot of cultural things that he had not been exposed to, and it vindicated his life and made something arise in him that he couldn't resist. And after he left college, he went back home to visit his grandparents, who are old now, the same old white man and old white woman that raised Obama. Obama's mama was white. His daddy was an African from Kenya, so they say. And it went back, and he told the story about how one morning his grandmother was getting ready to go to work. And for 30 years, his grandmother has caught the bus to work. But this particular morning, she insisted that his granddaddy took her to work. And they were at odds with each other. And he said, well, what's wrong? He said, well, she want me to take her to work, and that just ain't right. She been catching the bus. He said, well, what's the problem? He said, no, it ain't so much the ride as why she want the ride. He said, well, yesterday, somebody came up to your grandmother and asked her for some money. And she said they kind of got aggressive. And I told her, well, don't worry about it. You've dealt with panhandlers. He said, well, yeah, so what's the issue? He said, well, the issue wasn't that it was a panhandler. It was that it was a black man. And that just ain't right, that she prejudiced of black people and stereotyping them. Now, I say Obama, but at the time he telling this story, his name wasn't Obama. His name was Barry. Obama wasn't invented yet. Obama wasn't invented yet. This is Barry Soetoro telling a story about how he was raised up by two white people, his grandmother and his grandfather. It's Barry Soetoro talking. So he said at that moment he became shell-shocked. And he realized that how could the woman that has raised me my entire life be prejudiced? So he wanted some clarity, and he went to one of his granddaddy friends who was an older black man, and the black man began to break down racial despairs that he ain't never been taught and never been heard before from a father figure, because he was raised by two elderly white people. And he said he was well established as Barry Soetoro, the campaign manager, the community activist. And he said at that point in his life, he began to realize that his whole life he'd been lonely and by himself. The only other black person that he knew growing up in his life that he truly was affiliated with to understand was a woman that his grandparents hired to come help raise him and also raise his mama. He didn't realize it until then, and he was a grown man. So understand when I say this, he was a product of the fear. Our beloved black president was a product of what John Donne told me he stood on and had to stand on to protect his family. Obama grandmama and granddaddy couldn't protect that daughter. She saw that African thing and had to have it. He broke through the lines of racism. He broke through the lines of being prejudiced, all in a time when it was so segregated. He broke through and tore that white ass up. So that's what it's about. And as black folk, you got to understand how it works. And you got to know your position in it. Now, times done change. And nobody cares about the racial despairs. I remember talking to Army veterans 20 years ago who got stationed in Germany. And they used to tell me 20 years ago that the population in Germany was almost gray, mulatto. It was so much mixing that when the military men went to Germany at a particular time, those German women went crazy over that black dang-a-lang. Show me a German woman in America now. She will, I'm telling you, she won't that black dang-a-lang. This is black history. So the racial despair is a thing of the past. We're dealing with our generation now. We're the first generation of true integration. Now we deal with the real prejudice. Prejudge through stereotypes. For 5 years, when I was on my music grind, I used to get off work and I used to go to Batesford in LaSalle. I used to go to Tuckasegee in Glenwood. I used to stop at the City Trend parking lot. And I would stand out there and hand out music and socialize with the community. But while I was out there, I would always watch the interactions of people. And I remember being on Tuckasegee, and I used to look at how we react to each other and how we prejudge each other. I used to watch a lady pull up with a good spirit. I say a lady. Pull up with good spirit. Get out her car. Say, hey, young man, hey, gentlemen. And these men would reply with so much respect and so much honor. They would break their neck in almost a racing type of way to open the door and show this woman how much of a gentleman we are. The narrative was set on the prejudgment of the woman. See, we all prejudice. We all prejudge people based off a feeling that isn't supported by truth or anything. I watch women pull up. I watch men pull up in the same parking lot. Before they even get out, you can see the facial expression. You can see the vibe. They're cussing. They're saying they're prejudging. Us out there having unity in the community amongst each other, talking as brothers. They pull up with a vibe of prejudice to say, look at these niggas out here at the store. And they get out and they hit their lock. And everybody look at them, and those that got the intentions buried deep down inside that wasn't present, that would probably do something in a wrong way, say, bitch, you oughta. I watched it work. Prejudice will protect you if you got a good judgment. I said last week, your judgment is a reflection of how you see yourself. My brother Black told me today, powerful. He said, Trav, you want to see the good in everybody, man. He said, you want to see yourself in everybody. He said, but man, let me tell you something, man. Trav, sometimes people ain't shit, man. And that's okay, man. You got to let ain't shit people be ain't shit, man. He said, it's all right, man. You can't save everybody, man. And sometimes they say the truth hurt. Because I say, you know, we all children that got old, man. And if you deal with children, man, ain't no bad children. It's just those that wasn't cultivated right or what they needed. So I still got hope and faith in a man long as he living. The game ain't over, man. I got to believe in us. And I got to believe that the power in me, man, can at least plant the seed to any man, any woman, to fight the good fight to get it right. He said, well, that's what make you you, Trav. But you got to accept that too, man. They ain't shit until they don't want to be. So I prejudge people, man, based off what's in me. I want to see the good in you. I want to see the good in you. The Asian man said, I never met a black man like you before. I say, there's plenty like me. We prejudge the Asian man in the Asian group. We'll down ourselves to say, hey man, we need to be like the Asians. We need to stick together like the Asians. The Asians, see, we'll prejudge them to give them all the benefit of doubt that they're doing it right. Man, we need to be like the Asians. And we'll prejudge our own self in a derogatory way. We need to be like something outside. We don't need to be like us. We need to be like the Asians. Well, the Asian tell me he ain't never met a black man like me, because he got the same problems in his family that we got in ours. And he fighting a good fight to maintain and survive, and he feel alone like don't nobody give a damn, and he out here giving it all he got. And he trying to tell me, I don't know what type of togetherness y'all people think we got. We fucked up too. Just like you, man. And I already know. We'll prejudge the outside in the upward favor. And everybody prejudging us, being prejudiced to us in the down way, and we even prejudiced to our own self in a down way. We got podcasts all over the world screaming prejudice rhetoric, prejudging women by their loser narratives. See, women need this, women need that, women need this. Well, you ain't never gave a woman what she need. That's why you ain't got one. Men ain't this, men ain't that, men ain't this, men ain't that. Well, you ain't never had the power to make a man be. That's why you ain't got one. So everything that you're spewing out just create prejudice. and making people judge one another through an unruly type of mentality with no proof. The proof is your losing ass. Fuck them narratives. Stop being prejudiced to one another based off losers' experience. We're creating our own stereotypes within ourselves. Ain't no good man out here. So now you meet a man who's dying for a reason, and you prejudging him and being prejudiced. See how that work? See, everything ain't always about white and black. Yeah, that's real. But if that's real and you get beat by it, it's probably because you don't understand it on neither side. We live in a prejudiced world where racism exists. Yeah, I got the premier house in my state with all the disadvantages. They got to wonder. Our prejudgment and prejudice don't work against that black man. He don't seem to fit the stereotypes, honey. So we define how we validate and invalidate prejudice amongst us and amongst each other. I want to give another shout out, man, to a hero. Pierced my heart today. I want to tell this story, and this got something to do with prejudice. Hero say, I went to an establishment, Trav. Ordered some pizza, wings, and breadsticks. My order came up to about $25. Employees say, hey, OG, just give me 10. I got you. Employee want to hook him up. But this hero is an established business owner who understands this business transaction from all levels, who has integrity as a business owner, who has integrity as a man, who has integrity as a father while he's standing there with his son to show his son principles. No, ring me up. I don't want to hook up. Ring me up. Told this young employee, handle that. If you got a chance, can I see you outside? Say he told the young employee, listen, I understand and I respect your gesture. You wanted to look out. But that ain't looking out. That's stealing. And I don't know how long you've been doing it, but if it go good that time, you'll do it again and again and again. And as it become easy, you'll graduate the levels of doing it. And some people get on this journey to where it becomes with a pistol in their hand. And the whole idea of taking makes so much sense because you begin taking from a cash register of just $10. Said the young person looked at him and said, OG, ain't nobody never told me this. I wish they would have told me this a long time ago. Say he talked to the young person, not knowing the young person. Say, but I'm going to give you this $10, obviously, because you need it. Next thing you know, he said they hugged. Boy, it melted my heart because it was a true story, a true scripture, a heroism, a true understanding and reality of we all we got, we all we need. I say, man, you can't imagine the impact that can carry beyond your understanding. And I say, even think about it this deep. Imagine how many people would have went in there, because this place is one of the cheapest places that you can utilize food for your family. I went there when I ain't had much. And so the gesture of half price to somebody on average could say, good God Almighty, Boy, I got hooked up at the joint. Oh, man, I'm so thankful. Boy, look at God. I got $20 worth of food for $10. Woo! Totally overlooked that the gesture and the blessing was on the foundation of stealing. So she prejudged the hero to assume that he would appreciate it. But he broke the stereotype. She was stealing, so she prejudged others and looked at them to see that they would be delighted and grateful that she was stealing. See how her judgment worked? But she misjudged and her prejudice was wrong. The jester created one of the powerful moments of her life. And all the hero had to do was be and stand on what he had to stand on because his son was witnessing. You see how that works? You see how that works? It's Black History Month. We talk about prejudge, and I know we talk about, I made a post earlier about Beyonce hair, and people went on the defense to say, we could wear blonde hair, it's people with natural blonde hair, but you know the gestures. Art is the imitation of life. We know when the art of the hair is the imitation of the life of the white woman. We know this. How can we act like we don't know this? How? We know that Miss Nellie is a man, and she go put on all the accessories that a woman wear and makeup, and now she's becoming social media famous because she looked like a woman. We know she buying shit to look like a woman. I say this man because we know and we act like we don't know when one of us is trying to be something that's not natural to ourselves. How can we act like we don't know? And then get mad at the prejudge and the prejudice that supports it. How? How can we act like we don't know? There go that angle. I've talked in front of so many people in my life, on so many different levels, as a black man who's unapologetic with my ism, my lingo, my charisma, my tone, my culture, and been respected on so many levels. Because the authenticity that comes with being real is something that's felt by others and one another. When I hear you change that tone, and it ain't about the type of words you use, I know the tone. Trying to sound like that, man. Stop trying to talk like that. I get real prejudice. I form a real opinion when I stand amongst my brothers, as we stand amongst other races, other tribes. I get real prejudice amongst my brothers when we stand amongst other tribes, and I can feel it in your tone when I know it's not your own. I get real prejudice when I stand amongst others with mine and other tribes, and I look at your head and I look at your hair and I look at the things you wear, and I know you ain't real. Oh, you ain't real. 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 I said, somebody tell me where my real people go, man. And another thing, since this Black History Month, I'm finna go. Another thing, since this Black History Month, I want to tell you this right here. I'm going to tell you a little secret. If you with me now, and you've been with me since the beginning, and you understand when I say racism and prejudice, and what I broke it down when I say it's a means of survival, you know what I'm talking about? Expectations is the seed of disappointment. If the gazelle keep expecting the lion to love it, he gonna forever be fucked up in the jungle. Because the lion can't love the gazelle when the gazelle is dependent upon his survival. Understand, black man, understand, black woman. I say art is the imitation of life. Every gun got a barrel. Every gun got a bullet mechanism. Every gun must shoot through the mechanism of caulking. Every gun is black. You talking about the black man, you talking about that thing with that there barrel with that hole in the middle with that sack that when they get the cocking and that thing go boom. I'm talking about it ain't no stopping. I'm talking about me. I'm talking about you. I'm talking about I'm the son of a gun. Ever since that motherfucker shot me, ain't nothing been able to stop me. You understand what I'm saying? As a black man, you better not never expect nobody that ain't that to ever goddamn willingly get in front of the bullet that can end all and be all. You better always know your power in this here world and know your position and stop being weak and docile, wondering why they won't love you because the gazelle can't love the lion. One is dependent upon the survival. And that's just the way it is. And that's real black history. And that's black future. That's black future. That's my story. That's our story. And if you can stand in that mirror, and you can look in that mirror, and you can see black, you can see a black man, you can see a black woman, you better know that the key was turned in the most powerful way it could ever be turned. And if that was anywhere on any part of it, they got hit with the gun and turned it all right. I did my genealogy, I got about 13%. Somewhere they got in front of the bullet. Racism failed. Prejudice failed. And in most cases, it may have been, we're talking black history, in most cases, in my genetics, it could have been rape at a time period where somebody of power was annihilating the women. That may be the case in most of the whites in our genetic. But even then, that bastard of a man who somewhere deep down in our heritage is our great-grandfathers couldn't resist. That's some real black history there that a lot of people don't want to deal with. But it's real. I dealt with mine and know it. I'm going to get out of here, man. I'm going to tell this story too, man. And I'm going to tell this in closing. I walked past a Shiro last week. I say, Shiro, how you doing? She said, my baby going through something. Mind racing. But I'm on the go. I say, tell her, I say, look in the mirror. She said, I'm going to tell her. A couple hours later, she said, I told her. I say, that's what's up. We all we got, we all we need. Next day, she said, I want to tell you and show you something. I said, what's up? She said, with tears in my baby eyes, my baby said, thank you. I said, what the mirror say? She said, I don't know. I said, well, it ain't for us to know what the mirror said. I had to turn away and move because I got so touched and impacted. Tell her to look in the mirror. Became the platform for an experience between a mother and a daughter. I say it on here every week. I never know if you do it. It ain't for me to know if you do it. But I know I tell you because it's in my soul to tell you. And I know how it works because I work it. If you pick it up, more power to you. You looking in the mirror ain't got nothing to do with me. Ain't got nothing to do with nobody. But to hear that she picked it up and used it, truly embraced it. We all we got, we all we need. And that special one, you already know. I appreciate you and honor you for just being real enough to pick it up and use it. Because that's all I intend to do with it is drop it down on the ground for my hungry hounds. I was on the way to school with my baby, Journey. I say, Journey, your daddy always talking about each one teach one, each one reach one. We all we got, we all we need. I'm talking real life. I ain't talking make-believe. I say, what that mean when your daddy say that? She said, I don't know, Dad. I say, no, for real, you don't hear me say it a lot. She said, I'm being honest, Daddy. I don't know. I say, well, we talking real life. We ain't talking make-believe. I say, what do make-believe mean? She said, well, that's something that ain't real. I say, well, tell me something you believe that ain't real. She say, Santa Claus. I say, well, what's the real version of Santa Claus? She say, your parents buy you things and hide it and then make you wake up on Christmas morning and be surprised. I say, well, it seems like you got a good understanding of talking real life. I ain't talking make-believe. I say, if you need something in this world right now, who gonna give it to you? She said, you and my mama. I say, that's real life. I said, so now you understand your we, right? She said, yeah. I said, well, your we grows. I said, your we grows into your grandparents, your brother, your aunts and uncles. I said, you got family. Your we begins to go out. But you know the core of your we is your mom and your daddy. And you know right now at 13 years old, if there's anything you need, you got a whole system of we that will get you everything you need, right? She said, yeah. I said, so you know what I mean when I say I'm talking real life. I ain't talking make-believe. We all we got. We all we need. Do you understand that? She said, yeah, I got it. I said, now, it's a lot of people in this world, Journey, that ain't going to get it. And they going to accept make-believe over real life. I say, and those that accept make-believe over real life don't realize that the power is in the we, and the power is inside of us that comes out for one another. But if they don't accept the real life and accept the make-believe, then they believe that the power is outside and come inside. I say, you see the difference? She said, yeah. And they will look at us, wondering how we got and do what we do for each other. I said, do you see how that works? She said, I got it, and it was right time when she was getting out the truck. I said, I love you, baby. Have a good day. She said, I love you too. Boom. I said, we all we got, we all we need. I'm talking real life. I ain't talking make-believe. Do you get it? I love y'all, man. Y'all have a good one. Been a powerful show.